Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Mog's Workshop. So we've got our cardboard and we've got our metal. What's missing? Well, we need to take some parts out of the metal. These little bits, these little nibbly bits, because that's where the rivets are gonna go. Oh, there's an awful lot of them. Better get started. And what do we do it with? Well, we do it with this nice little hole punch. Oh, you need a little bit of force to do this though. Big squeeze, here it comes. Ooh, it's not too bad actually. Let's have a little look. Ooh, yes, a nice little chippily chipped out of the side of the metal. Now all we need to do is another million of them. Here they all are. This took a while, but actually quite good fun. Off now to make something bendy. And what do I mean by that? Well, first thing, we're going to slice and dice this piece of pipe in half. Now, I learned this from Armour Templates. Great channel. I've put the link in the description below. Let's pick our favorite monkey-based glue and stick this pipe into a nice bit of wood that we prepared earlier. There we go. Look, a nice little half pipe there. Not suitable for skateboarding unless you're extremely tiny. But what we're doing now is taking a smaller pipe on the inside, and when we take our little piece of metal and give it a good old bash from above, what we'll have is deafness, so we must wear these. Here we go, this is actually what we'll have. Tap, 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 and what we'll do is slowly bend this into the shape of a finger. Takes a little bit of force, but actually once it starts going, it's not too bad at all. Give it a good slapping, and then turn it on its side just to round it all off, because if we leave it like this, it's going to look a little bit pointy. We don't want that. Okay, move it onto the side. There you go. See, it's not quite in the semicircle. There we go. Now position it there, hold it firmly, and bang, 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 bang. This will just round it off, make it look a lot nicer. Do the other side as well, and make sure not to smack your fingers with the hammer, because that's not fun. I did this a few times. My fingers were a little bit flatter as a result, but not too bad. Here we go, and a nice little finishing touch, just down the middle there, tippity tap, and take it out, and we should find, oh yes, nice and perfectly round. Next up, it's our friendly knuckle pieces made of brass. A bit easier to bend this, because number one, brass is a little bit easier to bend anyway, and number two, the brass was thinner. Your results may vary depending on what kind of armor you want. If you want to stop a bullet from 1,000 yards, then you might need something a little bit thicker than this, but then again, you will also need muscles like you would never seen before in order to bend it. So you can even make this out of aluminium if you want. That would be jolly easier, and you can heat treat it and make it a little bit harder later. Perhaps I'll build something out of aluminium in the future. Right, now what have we got? There's the knuckle pieces looking all kind of shiny. Don't they fit? Ooh, I couldn't do that again if I tried. There we go, all done. Nice. What's next? Well, what's next is I've had to do all of them, and isn't this a glorious sight? Look how they catch the light. Well, they certainly have been transformed since they are all flat and boring. This is much more like it, much more gauntlet-y. Okay, now is the time to bring back the jaws of death, because we need to put in the holes. Snip out the little bits at the end, of course, we've already done that, but these holes are for the rivets. And that's going to be all kinds of exciting fun. But first of all, we need to check out what are the other bits that need to be prepared. Well, these bits, look at that. They're not ready yet at all. Let's see what we can do. Okay, let's score some lines in the back of these pieces here. As you can see, we've prepared the nice scalloped edges with our sanding disc on our Dremel. And what's this? It's a masonry builder's chisel. Very heavy. Let's give it a smack. And as we are using quite a tremendous amount of force here, we've put a rubber mat underneath so we don't cleave the world in twain. Safety first. And tap, 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 well, thump, thump, thump in this case, and what we'll find is gradually this metal will start to bend up around those little scalloped edges. And look at this, we've created some kind of batarang. All kinds of fun here. We just need to do all the other lines and then it'll be ready to go. Yeah, do they fit together? Yes, they fit together quite nicely, don't they? They're going to slot and slide and help with the articulation on the wrist part of our gauntlet. Up next is the brass. Yes, we're returning to the brass. Going to put some cutting oil here, ready for the drill. And we're going to make sure we've got our Dremel in a drill press mode. And we're going to drill a nice hole right in the center. Not too fast, not too much pressure. We don't want to snap the bits into bits. Not when we've got this to make. This is a little cheeky jig here that we've put together in order to make perfect circles. Yes, we're using an engraving bit here, moving nice and slowly, because we need to engrave our design design, our strange, stellar, magical wizarding design onto the back of our gauntlets. So the inner circle is there, then the outer circle, rinse and repeat, and keep going in nice little slow movements, and before you know it, there we are, we've drawn in the other bits that we're going to do, taken a nice spare piece of scrap metal, and we're going to freehand with our engraving bit, and make sure that we do these lines again, nice and slowly. Don't move too fast, don't put too much pressure, otherwise it'll all whiz off and you'll end up scratching it to bits. Here we go, piece by piece, nice and slowly, no need to rush, and before you know it, we've created a nice engraved back piece. Let's check it out. Oh, hang on 1 minute though, we've got to take off all this pen. So once again with the 200 grit sandpaper, we'll just move it back and forth so we can see where we're going. And of course these are just going to be guidelines. Once we've all got it shaped, we're going to go over it again freehand and make sure that it looks nice and rustic and magical. But before all of that, we need to cut the holes for our lovely little sparkly lights. There we go. And then back to the masonry chisel for a darn good thrashing. Let's really shake the pillars of hell as we bash this thing here. Nice creases on either side, ready for shaping. So how do we do that? Well, we just use an old piece of pipe, a little bit of pressure, and before you know it, it's nicely shaped. Like this. Yes, a little bit of back and forthing, that's all it took. And as we can see there, we've got all of the design all faint. Let's make it look like this. Yes, what we did here is we just went over it by hand. We put some nice little sparkly details there on the stars to make them look a little bit more starry, and also some more little lines just to connect it all, make it look more interesting and magical. Oh, what a lot of little bits. What's next? Well, we've flirted with hell, so let's get holy. What we need to do here is punch in these little parts so we can connect these later with a different system. Yes, it's going to be a different way we're connecting the back pieces than the finger pieces. Show you that later. But here we go, back to the old jaws. Going to get this in here. We've marked it all up with a nice bit of blobby pen to make sure that we're going to get these all in the right place. Yes, you don't want to cut these more than once. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a nice big squeeze. Fingers out of the way of the handles. Yes, ask me how I know that hurts. Here we go. What have we got? A nice neat hole. Well, there's a few more to go as I remember. Let's give it a whirl. Oh, look at this wondrous stuff. Excellent. Right, time for those rivets. So how do these work? Well, they're very simple, really. You just clip one end into the other end and they'll hold things together temporarily, so you can just make sure that everything is going to fit. And when you're ready, you give them a nice big smack and they'll compress down and it'll all be permanent. Let's try a test fit, shall we? Here we go, full speed ahead, and let's see if it works. Oh joy, all the holes are in the right place. This is a wondrous moment. And we're not too far from putting this on the glove. Let's check it on the old back of the hand there. Wiggly wiggly, and yes, it is not going to be a problem. Well, I hope not. Anyway, where's that glove? Where has it gone? Ah, there it is. Hang on, aren't there two of these? Brilliant. Moving on, let's do some electronics. Very simple in this case. We've just got a nice color changing LED. We're going to fit a resistor to it, a couple of little wires, and then we are going to put some nice heat shrinking insulation on them so the wires don't touch and it doesn't go bang. And we're ready to go. Where are we going? Well, we're going to make some fiber optics. We've got some little strands of fiber optic and another little piece of heat shrinking material. We'll put that on there and then we'll get our little snippers and snippety snip. We'll snip the end off to make a nice neat end which will show all of the little fiber optics waiting for their light source. So when we put these two together with heat shrink all over the top, a couple of pieces here, there and everywhere to make sure it's really held on and make sure it's really connected, then we'll have a nice fiber optic loom ready to put into our glove. Okay, let's put this together in super fast mode. Oh, I wish it was this fast in real life. Oh, but it works though. There we go, look at that. Now this is super bendy fiber optic. Very useful for our glove because what we're going to do is put it in like this. We're going to bend each little piece and make sure that it goes through the hole. We don't want to use brittle stuff here, otherwise it'll snap and it'll all be tears. This stuff's quite flexible. We'll put it in, we'll hold it in place with little vinyl strips, self-adhesive vinyl, any will do, and then we'll black it out with big strips of vinyl. Put it on like this and then blast it with a hairdryer and it'll all shrink nicely like this. That's not coming off in a hurry. And checking the other side, we'll trim the fiber optics to fit flush. Ooh, let's turn these on, shall we? Hello, what have we got here? Yes, these are sparkling away. You know, we put a little dab of Nuln oil on some of the ends of the fiber optics here to make sure that all the lights aren't of a uniform brightness. We want to shine them at different intensities. Ooh, I think we're almost ready for the next phase. What's that going to be? Find out on the next episode, where we put the gauntlets together and then we stand around and pose and look all kinds of ludicrous in them. In the meantime, please like and subscribe. Well, if you do like and you would like to subscribe, because if you don't and you don't, then those things would be pointless. Anyway, I shall see you next time on Mog's Workshop.